By Maureen?
And Debbie as well.
Debbie.
She gave her apologies.
And Debbie. Are there any notices?
Well, Peter Bevan was apology.
He's an apology as well.
Peter Bevan's apology too, is he?
So I'll move the apologies be sustained.
Thank you. Seconded. Those in favour? Aye. Any conflict of interests? No. Confirmation of the minutes of the last extraordinary meeting, which was held on the 9th of October. Has everyone read those minutes? You're looking very blank. Neil.
I'll move that they be first.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, I'll make a second.
Thank you very much. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are passed. The item that is the decision item today is, and then we're going to hear from Alan and any other councillors who wish to be heard. But the first is the annual report adoption. Right, Jessica, is she going to? Thank you.
I think so. Thank you, Chair. So I've just handed out a copy of the audit opinion. I've got one. I'm sure Rex has got one already.
Yep.
So we have received a modified audit opinion from Audit New Zealand on the basis of non-compliance with New Zealand GAAP around the reporting period for Napier Port financials via the consolidation through HBRC, which was expected. And there is some commentary that we've included as a disclosure within the final annual report in response to that audit opinion. So you've also got a change sheet. So there have been some minor edits or amendments to the annual report due to audit feedback since we circulated the agenda. So in my view, the edits are fairly minor in nature. The actual financial performance for the year and effectively what we spent and what we achieved hasn't shifted. Some of the adjustments are more sort of reclassifications within the balance sheet and some minor sort of editorial edits to headings. So happy to take any questions.
Could I just make a point? This piece of paper has just landed in front of me.
Yep.
I'm now on page 4. You give me another 30 seconds,
Sure.
I'll get to the end of it.
Okay.
And I will say that it's very most unfortunate that the auditor's opinion is now just in front of us. I realise that you have only received it the last few hours, it's not your responsibility, but this is, in my view, a very subpar performance. Want that on the record. Without point of blame, I'll get to that later.
So, Chair, can I suggest perhaps we give the committee a few minutes to go through the opinion?
Your suggestion is a good one. I'll do that. Can I make a change to that letter?
Oh, it's his letter, I just don't approve that.
No, I've got one here that's our letter.
Here's why it's speaking.
Oh.
Can I just ask a question of you, Jess? The top of page 5, question?
Certainly can.
Jess, what in your opinion does this, in summary, mean, the letter?
So I think in summary, it reflects that Audit New Zealand are effectively satisfied with the production on the information supplied to produce the financial statements, with the exception of our compliance with GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, about the reporting period for Napier Port through the consolidation up through HBRC. So I think that's what the letter implies, that effectively they're happy with all the other material that's supplied to them, but they effectively cannot agree that we have complied with GAAP in respect of the consolidated numbers.
Can I perhaps just add to that? My take on it would be that the 3 months of financial information from Napier Port not being available prevents the auditor from concluding that the council is not at risk of not being a going concern, or is at risk of not being a going concern, because of the potential for something to have occurred during that 3-month period that would be material in terms of the council's financial position. Rex and I have a letter before us in which we're certifying to the auditor that based on our inquiries there's no reason for us to believe that there is any concern with respect to the council's financial position or any material changes with respect to the overall accounts presented to council. And to that effect, I will note that I met with the Chief Executive of the Port of Napier on Monday, and that discussion revealed to me that there are no matters of concern with Napier Port's financial position that would consider us to be concerned about the council's solvency in any way, shape or form.
Supplementary to that, the council has 2 board members on the Port of Napier. Surely it would be their responsibility to report to the council if they have any concerns. Have you had any reports from the 2 directors of Napier Port representing the interests of the Hawke's Bay Regional Council expressing any concerns about circumstances of Napier Port?
No, we have not.
But to clarify that, the 2 directors of Napier Port did attend the HBRC meeting that this was discussed at.
But I'm just laying down another layer here, carefully and with a forethought, that you have approached the port yourselves. I'm saying there's another tier of communication here. You have 2 directors.
Yes.
Have you heard from them, and you would expect them to report the moment of an issue, and you have not?
No, and as the chairman's pointed out, the HBRC board meeting at which those 2 directors attended, this matter, as I understand, was discussed, and there was no concerns about the financial position either of Napier Port or HBRC. And so in signing off the accounts through to the group statements that Audit New Zealand has considered, collectively there is a view that they are a fair and accurate representation of.
So, Mr Chair, has that fact been recorded in the minutes of HBRC's minutes, please?
It will have been.
It will have been, yes. I haven't cited the minutes myself, but certainly it will
No, I
have been.
haven't either, but it will have been.
Yep.
This was thoroughly discussed at the HBRC board because there was one director in particular who was very reluctant to sign unless it was a qualified audit. And so this was thoroughly discussed, and the 2 port directors were present. Paul?
Thank you, Chair. It would be fair to say, I suppose my question would be to Jess, that we have to keep in mind, and anyone that happens to be going through and looking at the sort of report, that it's up till the 30th of June 2019, and that's prior to the IPO going through, which means that that'll be captured in the following year's annual report.
Yes, that's right. There is some commentary within the annual report that explains or details post-balance date events, so it does refer to the IPO in various stages through the commentary at the end.
And it ought to be pointed out that unless the port were to shift its balance date, we're going to be perennially in a situation of having qualified accounts.
That's right. But there's just about a balance date alignment.
So in summary, the auditor has absolute clarity up to the 31st of March.
For the group.
Can't see for the group, but cannot see one particular element of the group from the 31st of March to the 30th of June. And on the basis of that, without any evidence whatsoever, is entitled to conclude that the entire group is in jeopardy.
Well, you can't confirm either way whether it is or it isn't. So,
They can't confirm either way.
but supplementary to that, we have prepared a letter certified by the chairman and ourselves that, based on the inquiries that we referred to before, that we are satisfied that there is no jeopardy to the council's accounts.
Well, I just don't. I think it's stretching a very, very long bow.
From his perspective.
From his perspective, to have years of annual reports from the Port of Napier setting out its annual position, right up to 3 months before this, to have suddenly thought, because I can't see the last 3 months, suddenly the whole group is in jeopardy. This defies.
No, he didn't actually, he's not actually saying that, he just...
It's on here. Potentially in jeopardy.
Yeah, that's a bit outrageous. Are there any other questions about this?
Chair, possibly the other thing, just for reassurance to the ratepayer, obviously Napier Port now, as a publicly listed company, has disclosure requirements, and if there were matters that suggested that they were in financial peril, they would be needing to be disclosed to the market, and the absence of that can give us some comfort, in addition to the reassurances and assurances we've had both from the Napier Port directors and from our own direct inquiries to the Chief Executive. And can I just also say, in relation to a very short notice with which the council has received this advice, we are caught in a difficult situation every 3 years by virtue of the fact that we're required to produce our annual report by the 30th of October in election years, and every year, and in election years that puts us in a difficult squeeze in terms of the final days of a council and an incoming council, and it straddles the period between the two trienniums, and that's an ongoing matter of some frustration and concern, which can really only be resolved by Parliament. But it is what it is, and we've just done our very best to work with that, but we recognise that puts you in a difficult position of having to receive advice at the very last minute.
There's one other thing that it grates with me in this, is that there is a number of reasons for the Napier Port not to have supplied the information that they were seeking, to do with the law. So for them to have supplied the information, they would also have to have supplied the information to everybody else, which raises a whole pile of other
Absolutely
issues.
right.
And so we're caught between failure, not having information, and breaking the law, and this conundrum is not expressed here. So if you read this letter and surrounding things, you would conclude that it was entirely the fault of HBRC and Napier Port, rather than other mitigating circumstances. So the picture isn't painted here, and Mr. Lucy, in my view, has been at pains to paint a one-sided picture, which irritates me. I just want to say that.
Your points are valid, Rick, but it's just the way it is. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, do we have a move for these recommendations?
I'll move.
Thank you. For a seconder. Tom, do you wish to speak? Except what you already have. Tom?
Yep.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Recommendations are carried. So that is all the matters, the end of our official meeting, special meeting. And I'd like to now, we have Alan Retainer. Liz is unable to...
Sorry.
Liz was unable to be here today, Alan?
Oh, Liz, no, she's not, sorry.
Okay.
But I think she's okay. I'm sorry about the other day.
So we do have Alan officially retiring today, and we have two councillors who are present today who were not elected.
Sorry,
So I just want to kick off firstly to address the two councillors who were not elected. Paul, you know, you have been incredibly